Hey everybody, welcome to Quilt-Cam. I'm Bonnie Hunter, and this is my basement quilt studio at Quiltville, where we are live to you on Google Hangouts tonight. If you've ever done Google Hangouts with me before, you'll know this is where I do my own work on my own projects, and you can sew along, or you can leave me a question and I'm happy to answer. I am working tonight on some string spiderweb blocks, and this is what one block quarter looks like. This is an old-time UFO. This has been buried in the basement for about the past 5 years. I uncovered it while looking for something else, and I've pulled it out to start working on it. Now, the free pattern for the string spiderweb is found under the free patterns tab at the top of my blog at quiltville.blogspot.com, and it will show you how to make the kite-shaped template. You'll see that I've got a piece of green fabric here that is just glue basted, just a tiny bit of glue stick, to this triangle I have cut from a phone book page, and all the sizes are on the blog at quiltville.blogspot.com under the free patterns tab. So it'll show you how to draft your kite template, how to place it on your pattern page, and then we are going to sew. Now we have to make the kite template a certain size so that when we sew the pieces on, you end up with your 1/4 inch depth of your seam allowance here. If the point came all the way to the edge of my shape, when I sewed these together, I would lose the point of this 4-pointed star that comes when you join the blocks side by side. But because I have made the template just so, when I sew these 1/4 inch seams here and here, they will cross just a little bit at the very, very bottom, and I will have that depth of seam allowance that I need. Here's one that I am working on right now. You can tell that this side is all full of pieces, but this one still has some paper exposed, and I'm going to continue to sew pieces on and just until the paper is completely covered. And when I am done with that, I will turn the shape over and then trim the excess outside of the paper. So it's a very, very easy pattern. It's a very traditional pattern. It's been around for many, 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 many years, and I love seeing spiderweb quilts all the way from the early 1900s through today. In fact, in the 1930s, the string spiderweb was a really, really popular pattern because it used up absolutely everything that was in the scrap bin. I have a drawer that is right underneath this table where my computer is. And in this drawer are all kinds of scraps. So I'm just going to pull out a handful of scraps, and we're going to work with those. Now with the string spiderweb, your longest pieces are the ones that go right up against the kite. And then your pieces get smaller as you work out towards the point. So by the time I get out here, I really can use lots of little stuff. But I need some bigger pieces that are not in the crumb drawer. So I do have some strings on hand. In fact, I'll show you my basket. This is my basket of strings that sits by my cutting table, and as I cut through fabric and I end up with just little bits and pieces and leftover strips, a lot of this comes from trimming stuff down with my AccuQuilt Studio, I'll end up with margins like this that are perfect for string piecing, and I've got them in all colors and all kinds of fabric and all different colorways. So we can have some long ones and some short ones and some fat ones and some skinny ones, and we're going to have a good time sewing here. When I am working on these blocks, and I don't know if you can see right now, I've got one left underneath the needle of the machine right now, and I've got that one that I was sewing on that's got one short side that's not finished yet. I like to work on 2 sections at a time so that each section follows the other as if they're chasing their tails, and I've got one always left underneath the needle so I don't end up with a lot of thread tails for just sewing very short seams. And I can dig through my scraps here and find just small pieces that are going to work just fine for working right up this triangle shape here. And I'm sewing a sort of 1/4 inch seam. It doesn't have to be perfect when you're string piecing. We're just covering the paper to fill. I've got my machine set down at a very small stitch length. It's about 1.5 if you're sewing on a digital machine. On this machine, it doesn't have numbers. It's just a dial, so smaller this way, larger this way. What you want is a a stitch length that's going to leave your paper intact without it falling off, but it's going to be small enough that it'll be really easy to remove the paper when it comes time to remove that paper. So I'm just going to grab in here, how about some orange? Everything is better with orange. I'm going to just cut that there. And I like to pre-cut my strips so that they're about 1/4 of an inch or so longer than I need. I don't want a whole lot of long strip hanging off what I'm already sewing on, because I am using these as leaders and enders for each other. And I'm just aiming for that 1/4 inch seam allowance. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is not one of those patterns where you have to match seams. In fact, I think it looks better when they're a little bit mismatched. I'm going to give that a press. Okay, so I'm getting really pretty close to the point here. So what I want, my next piece needs to be big enough to cover this entire point, because I don't want to have a seam way up here close to that tip. It's just going to get lost in the next seam allowance. So at this point, what I want to do is take, here's a rectangle. Do I like that color? It's almost too much the same as what I'm working with already. Let's choose something else. How about this red? Okay, this red is big enough. I'm going to place that red polka dot right here, so it's big enough to just flip up and cover that whole tip right there. Again, just aiming for something close to a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to give this one an iron press. And this iron is very hot. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. So you can see that these strips cross each other at the bottom, and when I trim this off, this will be about that short, and I'll have that 1/4 inch depth of seam allowance down there. If you are new to Quilt-Cam, you can leave me a comment in Google Plus or in on YouTube if you're watching us, where this is streaming live on YouTube, or if you're on my blog at quiltville.blogspot.com, leave me a comment on this post in the comment section, or you can leave me a comment in the guest book by clicking the blue guest book button that's in the left-hand side column. Those all show up in my email, and I can answer your questions by email while we sew. You can also just email me directly at quiltville@gmail.com, and that will, of course, show up in my inbox as well. So we're just going to pull pieces of fabric. If it's big enough to go there, that's where it's going to go. It's just got to cover the paper. Now this one looks kind of funny now, but it's completely filled, and I'll be able to trim that even with the paper later. So I'm just going to set it aside and start a new one. Have you ever had a project that you forgot about completely forgot about? You can leave me an email and let me know. Tonight's Quilt-Cam, I'm just going to pull a pile of this stuff right here on the table to work from so I don't have to keep bending down. We are probably going to only sew for about an hour together tonight. I am leaving for Oregon in the morning, and I have to leave for the airport at 4:15 a.m. Well, it's already after 9 p.m. here, so I'm going to get way less than 7 hours of sleep as it is. So we'll be doing this for about an hour. Trim that a little shorter. I just go for as much variety as possible. So if I've already used orange here, I probably won't use orange again on this side. This side here is going to be part of a different plate. It's going to go part of a different spider web. So I could use orange down in here somewhere, but I try to use a color that I may not have used already before. So maybe like this batik. Maybe something a little lighter. Let's see what we got in here. We got too much stuff to choose from, and that's the deal. If I give myself too much to choose from, then I spend too much time choosing, and I don't spend as much time sewing. And in the long run, all you want is variety. I am sewing tonight on my 1950s, it might be early 60s, we're not sure. It's a Best Built machine made in Japan. It's aqua and cream, two-tone, and it's very mid-century modern in its styling, and I just love it. What have we got here? We've got yellow. I like yellow. That can go there. Again, just aiming for a 1/4 inch, somewhat of a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Doesn't have to be perfect. And you can choose which side you want to work on, whether you want to fill in one side completely and then switch to the other side, or if you want to switch back and forth depending on which fabric you have picked up and where you think it wants to go. And everything always goes better with yellow, I think. I always try to stick some lights in with the darks because it kind of brightens things up and lets some daylight in. Now you really could sew all of these in a big long chain if you wanted to, but I think it takes longer to take things apart and to get stuff pressed and trimmed. I do much better just sewing with 2 units at a time and then move on when one is full. This really does go fast, and once I'm a couple strips in, I can find places where got some really fun stuff in here. Some nice little stuff. So I need some stuff that's a little bit bigger. That'll work. Maybe it'll work on this side. Okay. But one of the things I really like about Spiderwebs is it does use up some of my smaller stuff as I get closer towards the tips of these triangles. Yes, I'm digging. I know I'm digging. Bring some more variety up here. We need a lot to play with. What is this? This looks like, oh, haha, part of a Maverick star. Looks like it got stuck in the drawer because I didn't need to make any more. Okay. There we go. You do want to try to keep your pieces laying flat so that there are no bumps. No warping, no bubbles, because you're going to trim this even with the paper, so you don't want to remove the paper and then have the bubbles iron out and make your piece misshapen or too large. Here's a good one. This is a Millennium fabric. And we're going to put it sideways across here, like this, so that the whole thing will flip up and cover that point. If I put it this way, it wouldn't quite reach. But if I put it this way, it will. And your strips don't have to be straight. They can taper and lean and add some character in there. So I just kind of sew them on however they come out of the bucket. All right, coming along. Let's check into the email box and see who's with us tonight. And then we'll continue to build onto these pieces. Now I buried my phone. Where is it? All right. I can tell emails are coming in. I'm getting a little flashy messages on the computer screen. Now the computer is far enough away from me that I can't get close enough to type an email reply to you. So I have to use my phone. Dawn says, Oregon awaits. So excited you're coming to Oregon. I've signed up for 2 of your workshops next week, and I can hardly wait. Have my fabric selections made, all from my stash, and I'm ready. I'm stitching on the binding of Easy Street for show and share. Safe journey to you, and that's Dawn in Portland. Thank you, Dawn. I'm looking forward to spending a couple days with you. Forgotten project. This is from Bonnie Tim, and she says, I knew I had the perfect fabric and went to find it. Found it, made into a checkerboard border. Did not even remember cutting it. And then I found that it was part of a small top. It was for a Guild mystery that I saved for the last minute and pulled an all-nighter to finish. Guess was more tired than I thought. Hope I didn't drive to Guild that morning. Well, you know, you survived, whatever it is. But forgotten projects, boy, they're lurking everywhere, aren't they? This is from Katie, who's sending along some pictures, and she says, my Quilt-Cam buddy is enthralled by Bonnie, working on a hexie project myself. And this is from Katie in Utah. Oh, my goodness. She's got a sweet little baby cakes right there, laying on a, looks like a little pillow pad. Oh, sweet. She's got another picture here. So Utah is 2 hours earlier, so it's just after 7 o'clock Utah time now. Oh, she's working on her hexies. How gorgeous. She's putting her hexies together right there. I'm happy to report that my new phone is on order. Yes, I am bailing Apple, and I'm getting rid of my iPhone, and I'm going for the Samsung Galaxy S5. Bigger screen, and no more Apple products for me. I'm done. I am done. So I'm looking forward to that. That's on order. They've been sold out because it's the #1 phone. They've been sold out of them for the last 3 weeks that I've been trying to switch over, and we finally just ordered one online, and we'll take care of it when we get home. If you have this Samsung Galaxy S5, let me know how you're doing with it. I also need to know what apps you really, really, really like, because I'm going to have to find stuff for that phone that is comparable to what I have on my Apple iPhone. Gina in Dallas says, your spiderweb blocks are so cute. Although I am sewing along with Quilt-Cam tonight, it's nothing quilt related. I am doing some tailoring on 2 pair of men's trousers. Don't you know how to say no? Do not tailor. Do not tailor. She says, we'll use the payment for my Bonnie Hunter class fund. Well, I guess that's okay then. We'll tailor for money. I thought maybe you were working on friends' clothes or family clothes. Thanks for sharing your time with us tonight, and that's from Gina in Dallas. And this one is from Nancy Nielsen, who left her message in the online guest book. And she says, do you have any quick tips for cutting the kite shapes? Well, what I tend to do, they have to be fairly accurate. I stack my fabric 4 layers high. I trace them with a Pigma pen on the top layer of fabric only, and then I use my rotary cutter to cut them out. There's just no really fast way. But you know, when you're cutting through 4 layers and you have the drawn lines to cut through, it's just not that bad. Here's one from, let's see, that was from Tartan. This is from Nancy, who says, enjoying Quilt-Cam tonight while I finish a quilt top of signature squares for my cousin who's fighting leukemia. You know, when we find out that somebody's got a serious, serious road ahead, like somebody with leukemia or other things, what's the first thing we think of? They need a quilt. They need a quilt. We've got to do this. So I know that you're working on that. I know she's going to love to see it. She says, I know my cousin will love to see what words of love and encouragement people have written to her. Can't wait to get it to her. And that's thanks from Nancy. And let's see, back to the inbox. When I go to the guest book, I have to flip out and actually go to the guest book to read those. Kevin says, so pleased to join you, Bonnie, and everyone else for Quilt-Cam tonight. Hey, Kevin, I got your box today. Opened it up, full of scrappy little squares and 1930s and 40s hexies. I'm going to do a project with those. Those are awesome. But Kevin's our quilter who's doing the Quilts of Valor block drive. And if you search for Kevin the Quilter on my blog, you'll find all of the posts with links to his recent taping by the news channel who did a story on him. So that's such a noteworthy thing there. He says, happy to see your demo for the Spiderweb blocks. That's on my bucket list. It uses everything. And everyone, and thanks for your support of the block drive and everyone who has donated blocks. The drawing was held today. Now it's time to sew all of the 5,680 blocks into 189 quilts. What a perfect project for Quilt-Cam. So Kevin's busy sewing your blocks together tonight. Thanks for joining in, Kev. The Cobb says, almost forgot, Betsy again, got my Quiltmaker magazine in the mail. Congratulations for being a cover girl. Yes, we are a cover girl this month. And I'm still waiting for my copies to arrive. They have not arrived yet, so hopefully they will shortly, because I'm going to have a giveaway. In fact, that reminds me, I ought to drop Diane an email and let her know that they have not shown up. I have a quilt on the cover of Quiltmaker magazine. It's the July-August issue, and it's called Wanderlust, and I think you'll really like it, so be sure to check that one out. Casey says, it's my first live Quilt-Cam, and I'm stoked. Yay, Casey. Tonight I'm trying to finish a Father's Day gift by quilting it on my machine. Thanks for the company. And she's in El Paso, Texas, and she sends a picture here of what she's working on, and we're on Quilt-Cam right there behind her on the picture there. Wait, can't wait for my new phone, because that picture on the phone is going to be a lot bigger, a lot clearer, a lot better. Let's sew some more on here. Oh, too many choices. And I haven't sewn anything red yet, and I need something fairly red and fairly long. That's really little. And that's when okay, stuff like this. This looks like it's too wide, so we're just going to chunk it in half. By the time the fabric is down to this status, we rip it. One block after another. It goes fairly fast. Okay. Got some really cool stuff, but I need it to be the right size. What's this one? Ooh. Nope, too much the same color. What about black? Black is always good. If things are looking too blue or too red or too whatever, throw in some black. So we had a really great weekend up at our cabin. We had neighbor friends over yesterday almost all day. The guys went out four-wheelering, and us girls stayed in and made guacamole. The weather was so cool. It was just around 70 degrees, maybe a little under. Maybe it was just high 60s. And we sat out on the front porch and just talked and laughed and giggled and had a great time. And not much quilting got done at all. But that's okay. If you remember last time, I was talking about the fact that Jason was bringing a new girlfriend home. And he hasn't brought a girlfriend home, oh gosh, years. Oh, hey, lovely cow fabric. You got some of that? 1990 something? Yeah, it's still in here. So he brought Jenny up, and I really like her. I really like her. They were so cute together. And of course he tells me, Mom, we're not serious, we're taking it slow, but by the way, we have the same initials. And I thought, oh, that cinches it. And he didn't really look like he was taking it all that slow either. But they're so cute together. Okay, so this side, yellow, red, aqua. These things don't have to match each other. It doesn't have to be any specific color theme. Vintage polka dot fabric, solid blue, and a Civil War orange. Then what have we not put on here yet? We're getting finally closer down. Oh, that piece will be great. A 1930s blue. When I'm doing regular string blocks, you know, square string blocks, I will just finger press those because I can press and I can release the paper if there's a bubble before squaring them up. But these ones, I need them to be really flat before squaring up. So I just, ooh, I can get some hexies out of that piece. This one does not belong in here. I've been cutting neutral hexies for my plane trip tomorrow. Goodness. I can get hexies out of, oh, all of these. Start that file over there. What was I saying? I don't remember. Oh, as I work my way down here, I can get smaller and smaller and really use up some of this stuff. So my laundry, the last of my packing stuff, is in the washing machine. The hubby is playing tennis. Not big enough. All this little stuff. Here we go. This will work. I did my check-in for my air flight tomorrow. Crossed my fingers, clicked my heels, did a little dance, and yes, I got a first-class upgrade between Washington Dulles and San Francisco. If you're going to get a first-class upgrade, let it be for a long flight. So I will be hexying in relaxation tomorrow. All right, that was a test. Does it cover it? Yeah, yeah. So you can see how odd it looks on the front. But can you see the shadow where the paper shows through? It doesn't really matter what the grain line is as long as I am covering that paper, and I'll be able to trim it, and it won't look so weird. Once it's trimmed, it's going to look like this one, and it won't look so odd. The reason why I want my stitch so small is because look how easy this paper comes off. And yes, I know there are a lot of spiderweb patterns out there that have you leave the fabric inside, but why do you want that extra fabric in there? I'd rather have fabric that shows on the top of the quilt instead of being trapped on the inside of the quilt, adding more weight and more bulk. So here's how quick that paper came off, and you can see no extra bulk. It's going to be a heavy enough quilt with all these seams as it is. So phone book pages. With these ones, I'm using the biggest phone book I've got, and I'm still on the lookout for big phone books. So I have friends looking for me here and there. There's a nice 1930s little floral. We'll put that on down here. And another one covered. See, these go really, really, really fast. All right, let's check in with you and see who else is with us. We've got more than 20 emails that have come in, email comments. Wonderful. This is from Bonnie in Wisconsin, who says, thanks for Quilt-Cam tonight. I get so much done when I'm sewing along with you. Still working on Celtic Solstice. Safe travels and happy sewing. Now, Celtic Solstice was retired yesterday morning. So we gave plenty of notice. We gave everybody notice when we put it up. We gave notice every couple of months, okay, it's going to be retired June 1st. So as soon as I retired it, it was not much more than 15 minutes later that I got this message. I'm looking for the Celtic Solstice pattern. Where is it? Can I buy it? Well, it's been retired now, so that it can appear in my next book down the pipeline. So just stay tuned. Gather your fabrics and just wait for it. I'm sure, like me, you have enough other UFOs buried somewhere that you can just kind of hold your horses until that pattern is released. You can always get my brand new book, More Adventures with Leaders and Enders, has been leaving the house as fast as I can get it in. Cases and cases and cases. So we're really excited with how well More Adventures with Leaders and Enders has been received. Oh, and by the way, it's now available for you on digital format for Kindle in the Amazon store. And the sale price of More Adventures with Leaders and Enders on Kindle in Amazon is $9.99 US. So if you live somewhere else, Australia, Europe, Canada, whatever, and you don't want to have to pay shipping charges, and then you might want to consider digital. And then if you really, really, really decide that you need a hardback copy or a paper copy, I'm happy to send you one. But, you know, maybe digital is a great way to take it along with you to shop for fabrics, to take to retreat, whatever it is. If you have a digital copy of More Adventures with Leaders and Enders, I'd love to hear from you on how you're enjoying that and what you think about the whole digital publishing thing. I've never bought a magazine in digital. I've never bought a quilt book in digital, but I love digital novels because I travel a lot. I love a paper novel too, and there's some authors that I will buy both. I will buy them in digital, but I want their hardback paper copies. Case in point, Diana Gabaldon, Outlander series. The next installment is due to be wirelessly delivered to my Kindle on June 10th. And I will also get the hardback copy because I keep that series. I love it and I reread it quite often. All right, back to this. Ness says, hi from Wyoming, working on Wonky Wishes Stars tonight, only 26 left. You go, girl. I should send you this one. Where is it? This one, Ness. I only have to sew 2 more seams. So if you would like this star, Miss Ness, email me back and give me your address, and I'll pop this one in the mail to you. Okay. She also says, love your hair. Oh, thank you. I'm getting used to it. It's just supposed to look messy, but I'm not used to hair just supposing to look messy. So it's taking some getting used to. She says, loved watching you on the quilt show, watched it over and over. Thanks for the guacamole recipe, and thanks for doing Quilt-Cam tonight. It's always so fun. So glad to have you tune in tonight with us, Ness. UFO from Amelia. She says, this is UFO. I started outlining it to make a wall hanging for my son way back in 1992 or 93. He was 7 or 8 years old. Life happened, and in October he will be 29. He is newly engaged and a new homeowner. Maybe it will become a wall hanging in his game room. And it's Mario. So she was hand quilting around the Marios for him 20 years ago. That's really, really cute. This one's from Nana Fee, who says, it's my friend Monique's birthday. Please send a shout out to her. Happy birthday, dear Monique. Happy birthday to you. And that's about as much singing as I will do on Quilt-Cam. Okay, Tamara says, just wanted to ask you a couple questions. First, would you give a shout out to my friend Mary in Bolingbrook, Illinois, who is watching you for the first time? Hi, Mary. How are you? Glad you could tune in tonight. Second, do you find that there is a size of paper for foundation piecing that is actually too large? Too large. You know, I tend to like smaller blocks, so I've never done paper foundation piecing really big. But the problem that I have, the reason I use paper foundation is because skinny strips like this, even though it's straight of grain, that strip still stretches. And if I were to sew strip to strip to strip to strip, I can get this really unwieldy thing. And so I like to use paper just the same way that people who do machine embroidery will use a foundation underneath. It keeps things from stretching. It keeps things from shrinking up the fabric and whatever. But as far as too big, I've never pieced that big, so I really wouldn't know. Honestly, I don't know. Do you have one that's too big? She says, I have some junior college course magazines that are around 16 inches square, and I'm wondering if they would be too large for string blocks. My problem with a 16-inch square would be, okay, if it's 16-inch square this way, if you do the diagonal, that's like 16 plus 8. it's almost half again as big, so now you're talking 24. So 24-inch strips, it's a long strip on that diagonal, so you'd be having to cut from fat quarters, and that would not even bigger than fat quarters, because the fat quarter is only 22. So I think that might be a little bit big. You can always try one and see, and if it doesn't work, cut it down to the size that you want. All right. Joy says, first Quiltville. I'm watching my first live Quilt-Cam tonight in Nashville, Tennessee, and trying to catch up on a block-a-day challenge. I also wanted to share that I made a quilt for my husband's grand-aunt's 90th birthday. I gave her the top, but still had to quilt it when I gave it to her. She gave it back to me to finish, and then I had company. I put it in a drawer and forgot for about 3 years. Okay, so the great-aunt is now 93. This is not good. I went to her house, saw her with a holy blanket, and asked where the quilt was. She gently reminded me I didn't ever give it back to her. Whoops. Needless to say, I went straight home and dug it out, quilted and bound it in a few days and took it to her. She is 96 now and still using the quilt. And that's Joy in Nashville, who sends a picture of the blocks that she is assembling tonight for her quilt block-a-day challenge. Well, it's a good thing that great aunt held on. Oh boy, that would be my thing. That would be my thing. I would forget that. And this one is from Lois in Kansas. We'll read this one, and I want to sew some more. She says, thank you so much for teaching me about bonus triangles. She calls them waist triangles, but they're not a waist. They're a bonus. I made this block out of the bonus triangles from Carpenter's wheel block. Would have thrown them away before. Oh, that is very cool, Lois. Very cool. The whole secret with the bonus triangles is to save them at a size that you will use often. So here's she shows the Carpenter's wheel block right here. Here's the Carpenter's wheel, and it was done with a flip and sew technique, or a sew and flip, I guess. And she was able to save the bonus triangles that she cut off to make this block. So I always think of those. Those are like little freebies. I just can't throw those away, and I don't want to save them as just cut triangles. That's how a lot of this stuff ended up in this drawer. These are a lot harder to deal with, these cut triangles, so I'm always trying to find a way to use those up. If I have a chance to sew a second seam, I will do that just so I can keep them usable. Oh, and this is on the fold. This opens up quite wide. We may save that as there is such a thing as strings, and then there's such a thing as real fabric for other rotary cut quilts. Okay. What else have we got in here? Here's a nice blue. Blue is always good. I am so excited about heading to Oregon tomorrow. I can hardly stand it, and I know I'll have a hard time getting to sleep tonight, but I will need to get to sleep. So even though I don't want to, we will be ending Quilt-Cam early tonight. Brown. Brown is good. I have not used brown yet. And I'm going to use it sideways, this way, so that I can flip up the whole piece and cover that point. Because this way, it wouldn't quite reach. My alarm will go off at 3:45 so that I can leave the house at 4:15. The rest of my laundry is in the dryer and running right now so that I can pack it before I go to bed. All right, so we got blue. How about, ooh, we like this orange too. I don't even remember on this project how big I was planning on making it. I don't think I was going to go bed size, maybe a couch size. I just wanted something a little bit brighter than the Spiderweb sample that is on the website, because that one was, oh, in my dark and murky period. Oh, yeah. Blue-green floral, yes, needs to go away. I'll just use that one again. Get it gone. Okay, what do we got over here? Part of a crumb block. Now, I've been waiting to use these pieces, but they're too green and they're too short to use up against that green kite, so they need to go further away from that kite. I've got a lot of blue. The problem with this string bucket is it's got lots of leftovers of stuff I've been cutting for recently, which were kind of like a color theme. Come on. Red plaid. Red plaid works well. I also have a confession to make. I have not been able to keep up with my Fitbit this past week. I tried to when I was at my mom's in Idaho. I mostly did. But spending time with family was more important than making sure that I go run up and down the mountain. And then this weekend, like yesterday, we had company. And rather than leaving company to fend for themselves while I went out and walked 10,000 steps, I just did what I did. And today, there was no time for doing anything other than getting ready for tomorrow. So it's not that I've been a lazy girl. It's just that I need more hours in my day. So this on here. Ooh. Must remember to put the presser foot down. Even that floral doesn't look so bad in there once it's got some other bright stuff sewn on either side of it. All right, let's check in. We're going to run Quilt-Cam for about another 15 minutes. We'll try to get to everybody. This one is from Sharon Dickman, who left a message on the online guest book. And it says, "Hi Bonnie, still working on my pineapple crazy blocks, even tonight during Quilt-Cam. Have not counted lately, but I think I have about 125 blocks made. That's a lot. That's 125 times 45 pieces, so that's quite a lot. Can't wait to see if I can get it assembled to look as great as yours. Thanks for all the patterns you share. I haven't even gotten to the free ones yet, except Celtic Solstice. Those pineapple blocks are addictive, and if you're wondering which pineapple she's talking about, it's Pineapple Crazy from my book String Fling. More than 12,000 pieces in that quilt, so she's getting close to halfway done there. That's wonderful. This one is from Jeanette, who says, from New Jersey in Virginia tonight. My first grandbaby is 6 days old. Putting trim on diapers to be used as pretty burp cloths. We'll see you at the end of this month in Pennsylvania. Now, June is going to be a crazy, crazy month for me. I get back from Oregon and immediately go to Durham. After Durham, I have a trip through Virginia. I'll be up in Fredericksburg and then headed over to Manassas and then up to Pennsylvania and then home. And then, shoot, it'll be almost 4th of July. So that's the rest of my June. Excited about that. Okay, and this is from Mary Ellen, who says, if you get a Samsung Galaxy, unless you have an unlimited data plan, do not sign in with your Google Plus account. It will automatically download anything you have ever downloaded from Google and suck up a lot of data. Mine did just that and used up an entire gigabyte of data in about 10 hours. So I will not install Google Plus on my Galaxy phone. You know, I really don't use, I have a Google Plus app on my iPhone, but I find that I don't use it anyway. I'm just too busy. And some things I just want to have on the computer but not on my phone. I just don't need everything on my phone. But thank you for that hint, Mary Ellen. This one is a hooray from Melinda, who says, my husband bought me an iPad Air for our 41st wedding anniversary. So tonight I get to actually work in my sewing room while watching Quilt-Cam. I'm cutting out TOGA exchange blocks to sew on my 1915 Singer 15 hand crank. Glad to be here. So this is Melinda in Denton, North Carolina, and she's going to the North Carolina Toga. Now that's the Treadle-On gathering, and it's happening in Charlotte, and it happens like right after I get home from Oregon, and I would love to come on down there and see everybody. I just don't know what I'm coming home to, if I'll have a chance to do that or not. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. Lovely. Jerry says, working on Pineapple Crazy. So there's another Pineapple Crazy girl. Have many more to make, one at a time, slowly but surely. I am challenging a friend to make one as well. She is a little bit ahead of me. I am looking forward to meeting you two next week for Smith Mountain morning class. My Celtic Solstice is on the frame, about halfway quilted. Maybe I will have it done in time. Thanks for Quilt-Cam tonight. Jerry, if you can finish it, I would love you to bring it for show and share, because mine is too big and too heavy to bring it. It's the weight. That quilt weighs as much as 2 other quilts, and I try to bring as many quilts as I can within 100 pounds. So my Celtic Solstice is not traveling to Oregon with me, so bring yours if you can. I'd love to see it. Sandy says, love the dollar store placemat idea. Thanks. You are welcome. You know, dollar store has a lot of great stuff. Doodle pads at the dollar store make great string piecing foundations. Ooh, big red chunk. I think I'll use this. I found some clear gridded placemats at the dollar store that are what I cut templates out of. I think I can now sew on. Oh, nope, just a little bit too small still. Next round. Next round. It's yellow. $3:45 a.m. Oh. Okay, so here's an example of a slight problem. Not really a big problem if you know what to do with it. But I can't sew a seam right here because it'll be completely lost in seam allowance and make a big knot right there. So what I want to do instead is find a piece, maybe this one, and I'm going to move it further down and sew it so it flips up, and it'll put the seam farther away from that point, and I'll trim the excess seam allowance away. That's just too close for comfort there. We want to give that seam some place to lie where it's not going to add some bulk. I'll probably be working on this project for the next several quilt cams. And that's okay. Ooh. Navy blue plaid. All right, so I've got this one sewn on now. And I'm just going to fold the paper out of the way and give myself an approximate 1/4 inch seam. Yep, that covers great. Covers just fine, and now I don't have a seam that's going to end up right in that point right there. My fabric is just a mix of everything. I love the newer fabrics, but I'm not going to worry about not having just those in my quilt. I'll just sew with what I got. I hear feet prints upstairs. Somebody must be back from tennis. Okay, looks like I need one piece that's going to cover this point too. It needs to be something semi-wide. How about this square? That'll work. I swear these are the most addictive thing. It would be really great for a retreat project too, because you're just sewing to cover. You let people know you'll take their scraps. They'll be bringing you strips and squares and triangles and leftover stuff. Just got a little bit left to fill on this side over here, and that one will be done. There's just a place for everything. One more on this one and it's done. I think that one can go this way. Awesome. The only problem is that I keep burying my scissors. And I think one more on this one, and it's done as well. Let's do about this green. Ta-da! So while we were here for the last hour, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles covered in the course of an hour, and I was talking half the time and answering emails. So you could have probably done 10 in the time that it took me to do 5. So it really goes fast. It uses everything. It's a lot of fun. You need to give this one a try. The pattern for string spiderweb is found underneath the free patterns tab at the top of the blog at quiltville.blogspot.com. I hope you enjoy giving this one a try, and if you have any questions or want to share how your project is coming along, email me a photo. We're going to answer just a couple more here, and then I need to log off. It's almost 10. Hi, Bonnie. Joining you from Eastern North Carolina. This is Heather. She says, received both of your Leaders and Enders books in the mail today. I'm a new quilter and starting to build my scrap stash. Can't wait to make some of your beautiful patterns. And that's from Heather. Over toward the mountains, Pat Levac says, I missed how you placed your kites on. There's just a little bit of glue stick because I don't like the way that pins buckle the paper. So I just put a little bit of school glue, just the regular cheapy school glue on the paper, stick the kite to it. Information is on the pattern if you look up the pattern on the blog. All right, Sherry Lush says, listening live. This is the first time I have been able to watch you live. Always done the archives before, and my internet speed is not great here in rural Iowa, so you are cutting out some. Well, you know what? I'm in my basement, and my internet is not great here in rural North Carolina either, so it's probably a combination of both. She said, hopefully we will have fiber optics out to our neck of the woods soon. I am hand quilting on my Dear Jane tonight, a 14+ year project, but the end is in sight. By the way, I have been cutting scraps for hours ever since I heard you in Tucson in February. I am almost done with the baskets full that I had. Can't wait to dig into them. Love the scrap stash. Love the scrap stash. I tried to meet up with you in the airport. We were supposed to fly in at the same time, except we got snowed in Chicago, so that didn't happen. But I was glad I got to hear you speak and see you in Tucson. So that's for Sherry Lash, and she is showing a picture of the section of her Dear Jane quilt that she is busy hand quilting on, and the end is in sight, she says. Thanks for sharing, Sherry. This one, all the way to the top here. If I missed anybody's comments, I will go back through the email when I have a chance, probably tomorrow. Who knows? The airport layover. I may get back to you. We can't read them all for this. Here's one directly from YouTube that says, this is from Great Granny 1. So good to have seen you in La Habra and Downey. Really enjoyed your show. I bought all your books and Hexies. Have fun in Oregon. Looking forward to start Hexies while watching TV. So that's from Great Granny in California. This one is from Robin and says, first live Quilt-Cam here in London, Ontario, Canada. Thanks for tuning in tonight. And this one's also over a comment over on YouTube that's from Mary Bennett, who says, hi Bonnie, great to see you on Quilt-Cam. Love your new book, More Adventures with Leaders and Enders. Bought both paperbacks signed from you and the digital. Left a good review on Amazon. Oh, thank you, Mary. I really appreciate that. You know, reading the reviews on Amazon is something that I do with trepidation because you never know what people are gonna say. So I really appreciate you leaving me a good one. And one more from Robin Ziegler, who says, oh my gosh, I got live. Yes, loud and clear in Canada. Terrific. Tamara Larson says, my friend Monique is celebrating her birthday today. Please give her a shout out. She's in Livingston, California. Did we get that already? This is a comment that was on YouTube also, so maybe I got you both places. And Paula Zidell says, love your new hairdo. Very cute. I'm glad to see you survived the mishaps at the cabin and are back home sewing. Thanks for the evening and have a safe flight. You know, it's been really great to just have a few days to settle in. I got in on Wednesday night because my flight was canceled on Tuesday night, and luckily my girlfriend Mickey lives about 45 minutes away from O'Hare and was able to come rescue me and give me a bed for the night, and we played a little bit the next day, and then she got me back to the airport for my 4 o'clock flight home. But that shortened my time home by a day, so I had Thursday to get everything done, because Friday we went up to the cabin to meet Jason and his new girlfriend, and we were supposed to come home last night, but it got too late into the evening, and we had all of the stuff that needed to be done, you know, change the linens, vacuum the floor, clean out the fridge because you can't leave any food there, and so we ended up staying the night and coming home this morning, which meant that today was a crazy day to run around and get everything ready, because I have to leave for the airport at 4:15 a.m. In the morning to go to Oregon. So with that said, I need to get off here and I need to go to bed. If it's still early where you are, don't let the reason that I'm logging off make you stop sewing. If you can squeeze a little bit more time into your evening, a little bit more progress, keep going. Don't let me stop you. Hopefully we'll do Quilt-Cam again when I return from Oregon. I'm not sure what that will be. We'll look at the calendar, we'll find a place that works, and we will keep working on these spiderweb blocks, and we're going to get this quilt done. I hope that you'll follow along with the blog. I update the blog at least once daily, if not twice. Join me on Facebook. If you do a search for Quiltville, you will find us. Lots of fun stuff going on there as well. If you're an Instagram user, you will find me also by searching for Quiltville. My name is Quiltville_Bonnie, but I think you will find it just by searching for Quiltville. You'll find me. Have a good night, everybody. This is Bonnie in the basement at Quiltville saying good night. See you later. Happy sewing. Bye.